Okay, hey guys, this is me back again for another part of the video series or mini series I was doing over passages in the Norton Anthology of American Literature, Volume B, Ninth Edition, 1820 to 1865. Today, I want to look at the my apologies, the passage in the book by William Apis called A Son of the Forest. Now, as we could tell right off the bat, just from the author's name, what comes to mind? Do you think he's white? Do you think he's black? Do you think he's Indian? Do you think he's Native American, Asian? What do you think he is? Well, from the name alone, you would think that this man is Native American, or of Native American descent. You're not wrong. He is very much so of Native American descent. He mentions this right off the start, page 126 in the book. He mentions that there is no his father was white, or his grandfather was white, and they married he married into the royal family. The woman he married was extremely beautiful. She was like one of those like Cinderella style girls you'd imagine based on the description. She was like one of a kind. But as we see later in the book, that same page 126, we see that he does not mention that he is linked to the royal family for any kind of praise, any kind of well wishes, any kind of like, what's the term? Any kind of like just overall like just more honor than that he feels he deserves. Which I respect him for that. I respect him so much for the fact that he's humble. He's not taking credit where credit isn't due. He's only taking he doesn't even take credit for this work. Because as he calls himself in that same page, he calls himself no better than any worm of the earth. He calls himself pretty much a worm of the earth. Now, when you imagine that, would you imagine anyone in today's world being caught dead saying anything like that? Would anyone's pride allow them to say that? No. No one's pride would allow that. It's insinuating that they are less than, which that's you won't see that anywhere. Or you will see it, but it's very rare compared to them. But he's humbling himself, which again, I say, I respect him for that. The man has a lot of guts and a lot of will to be able to humble himself in such a manner. To be able to and not take credit for what credit isn't due. The thing is, this man, his grandfather, yes, was white, was married to the princess, but his life wasn't great. He was taken to live with his grandparents. I want to say it was his grandparents. Okay, let's see. Yes, no, it was his grandparents. Found it, page 128 of the same passage, same book. I apologize for that. It took me a second to find the page where I marked it, but In that passage, we see where his grandmother had too much, what was it, rum given to her by white settlers, that she returned home and had a club. Now, you can already tell where this is going. She has a club, she's drunk, she's angry, and she comes home. What do you think is going to happen when she walks through that door? Well, your thoughts are right. She commences to beat Apis with said club. And then in the middle of this, she asks him, "Do you hate me?" Now here's where it gets a little weirder. Because with him being so young, he's so innocent, so naive. It's like he didn't know what hate truly was. So in an innocent manner, this man answered, yes. He had no idea what he was saying. And it proceeded to basically, she almost beat him to within an inch of his life. That was, this was horrible because he was only 4 at the time. You've got to take that into account. A young child like that is not going to understand, not going to know what that means. If he did, would he have said it? I think not. He more than likely would never have said that if he knew it was going to lead to more beatings. But this is when he had like divine intervention. If you want to think of it like that, he basically says it like it was divine intervention. God saved him from the situation. He was taken away from that horrid home. And the thing is, he did not blame his grandparents. He didn't. He blamed the settlers. Because, as he says, something about alcohol distorts the mind, brings out a part of them that they don't, that shouldn't be seen. And it tricked, that's how they tricked the settlers, tricked, or not African American, my apologies, Native American peoples out of their lands. They did that through simply saying, here's some rum, here's some ale, here's some beer, whatever, wine, whatever you want to call it, whatever kind of alcohol they bring. It distorts the mind, makes them not think. Well, he was saved from that home by his uncle. And his uncle took him away and hid him to where he would be safe from them. And then he went to get food or supplies from people that had regularly given Apis milk and bread. When they heard the news, they heard what those people had done to this young boy, they came rushing pretty much. And that when what they saw horrified them. Pretty much they saw a young child, broken arm, probably broken ribs, maybe a cracked skull, bleeding. Well, maybe not bleeding anymore, but he was bruised and hurt. This is where that idea of like divine intervention came in. He was saved. He was put among a Christian family. Mr. and Mrs. Furman. They took care of him. And he basically accepted that he was saved Not by the grace of man, grace of anything like that, but by the grace of God. He was saved. And this is where pretty much this is the turning point in his religious mindset. He goes from the quote unquote heathen, or whatever you want to call it, that the settlers described the Native Americans as, to a young Christian boy, because he heard the stories of God and the preachings, and he's like, he saved me. This person saved me. They deserve all the respect in the world from me and from everyone else for just the magnitude of what he has done. He deserves the respect. But as we see, he does go on to eventually, if I'm correct, he hmm, he goes on to eventually become a good Christian man. He just he wanted to praise God for being God. And he didn't want to fight. He didn't blame, as again, he didn't blame any of them for these issues. He blamed the settlers for bringing the issues to them. Okay, well, I don't have much more time, guys, so that'll be the end of this video. I hope you guys enjoyed. Leave some comments down below telling me how I can better improve this. I would like to improve this. I want to make this better for you guys to enjoy. Okay, well, good evening, and y'all have a nice rest of your day.